Okay, it's mid-September now. We're not seeing much yet in terms of fall colors, but we're just now getting those cooler nights that we need. So this weekend, temperatures are actually supposed to drop into the upper 30s. On some of the trees, you already start seeing some of those yellows and reds. Lots of goldenrod blooming now. Got some thistles mixed in there. So yeah, we've got those late summer and fall bloomers now. I'll have to see if I can find out what species of thistle that is. I'm pretty sure it's not the invasive bull thistle, because that has winged stems. These don't seem to have that. But they're popular with the pollinators. Now, gardeners may not be very fond of thistles, but the butterflies sure are. Now, goldenrod attracts all sorts of pollinators. Now, pollinators typically keep moving. If you find one that isn't moving, there's a pretty good chance they've been caught by some predator. So this bee here looks like has been caught by a spider. Here's another spider waiting. Here we've got a curious critter on the milkweed. At the entrance of the trail here, we've got some knotweed blooming. So that's those pink flowers there. One thing to look at with these is where the leaves attach to the stem. You can see those long hairs on this one. That is indicative of the species. We've got some nice patches of that white snakeroot in bloom here. And of course the goldenrods. Now these out here on the meadow are a different species than the one that we'll see in the woods. So here's that woodland goldenrod. You can see it's much shorter than the one we saw out in the meadow. And the inflorescence is shaped differently. The new partridge berry fruits are ripening. So there's a lot more of these red fruits now on these plants. So remember, this is the plant that has these twin flowers. So the fruits have these two dimples there. That's where the two styles came in. So the fruit itself actually is a fusion of the two flowers, their ovaries. Here we've got a nice patch of that crownbeard again. Remember, that's the plant that looks almost like wing stem, but instead of alternate, it has opposite leaves. So that's the way to tell those two apart. We still have some last flowers here on the horsebalm. But a lot of these plants now look like they're going to seed. Joe Pye weed is still up and blooming here. Some of it looks like it's already going to seed too. The jump seed looks like it's done blooming now. And it's starting to make its seeds. Couple of last flowers here on that Indian tobacco. A lot of it has gone to seed already. See those swelling seed pods. It's been a wet and rainy day yesterday with the remnants of Hurricane Sally. So it looks like the salamanders are out today. That might be a red-spotted newt. So if you do find a salamander like this, please resist the temptation to pick them up. They actually breathe through their skin, and the salt on your fingers can mess that up. So you can actually hurt them by picking them up. Now he goes looking for shelter under some rocks or dead logs. That's where they usually hide out. Those Indian pipes we saw 2 weeks ago are actually still here. I'm surprised. This is fairly late in the year for them. Black cohosh here, making fruits. You can see those characteristic leaves still down here. This slope here is pretty much all snakeroot and goldenrod right now. So here we've got another one of those woodland goldenrods in bloom. This one seems to have bigger leaves than the other ones I've seen. Here we've got another one of those goldenrod plants. If you look at the stem real closely, it seems to zigzag a little bit. So I'm wondering if this is the zigzag goldenrod. The obligatory view into the landscape here. Again, not much yet to see in terms of fall colors on the trees. The white wood asters are still blooming. So these have these big heart-shaped leaves. I need to apologize to this little spider. I just ran into her web and destroyed it. Yeah, they're making their webs across the trail again, which is not a good idea. So here we've got some of that black rattlesnake root and bloom. Remember, that's the plant with the variable leaves. This is about as much as the flowers will open. This one here is a smaller plant, much closer to the ground. So I'm not sure if that's a different species or just a smaller plant. But there you can see those heart-shaped leaves. And then the ones on the stem look completely different. Berries on the blue cohosh here. The foliage now is deteriorating. It's all turning brown, leaves falling to the ground. Lots of those yellow composites in this area. So we've got the crownbeard, and then we still have that oxeye sunflower blooming. The jewelweed is still going as well, making more and more seed pods now. Here it looks like we've got another aster starting to bloom. This is a taller one. The flowers are slightly purple. I am not sure which species that is. I think here's another one of those. So they're taller, probably around 4 feet at least. These are the leaves that go along with it. I'll have to see if I can figure out what that is. Seeds forming on the wood nettles here. So these are those female flowers above the leaves. The male flowers seem to have all but disappeared by now. Oops, here's another spider that fell victim to my hike. She had spun her web across the trail. Sorry, spider. Remember the showy orchis we found in spring? That's the seed pods. So here we've got these plants still here, but making seeds now. The jack-in-the-pulpit fruits are turning red now. Here's another one. And we've got another one there. So these berries are now starting to become really obvious. Lots of birds out here today. This is the time of the year when they're migrating. So they're picking up all those seeds and berries that are ripe at this time of the year. And it looks like the spicebush fruits have really colored up over the last 2 weeks. If we look up into the trees here, lots of red fruits on these right now. You can also see them littering the ground here. The bright red color of these berries is a signal for the birds that they're ripe and ready to be picked. Birds are really good at seeing red, so that is often used by plants to signal to them. So here's another knotweed in bloom now. It's got white flowers, it's a lot smaller. And again, you can see those hairs where the leaves attach. And another spider I have to apologize to. I just destroyed her web as well by walking into it. Now this one was smart enough to build her web trail side so that I don't have to walk into it. It looks like she's been mostly catching debris here. Stuff that fell down from the trees. So we're at the northern end here. Lots of traffic today. The cutleaf coneflowers look like they're pretty much about done. The jump seed here is pretty much done. The lower fruits there are already ripe. So if you touch those, that's another spring-loaded mechanism. They'll jump away from the plant. Hence the name of the plant, jump seed. So if you brush against these, they'll jump. The sourwood across the road here is done blooming, making fruits now. No sign of fall color yet. This one will turn red.